Welcome everyone to today's masterclass and a very big happy Valentine's Day. If you are somebody that is maybe looking for love, this is actually your day. I think people have spun the narrative a little bit differently because everyone thinks it's about a day where couples get to celebrate their love, which I love too, but it's actually for single people to find their true love. So if you're single, may that be the case for you. If you are in a committed relationship, may you be spoiled with love. But above all else, my wish for you today is that you genuinely get to celebrate yourself because love starts with the self first, always. And that is my wish for you today. So I hope that you all have a beautiful Valentine's Day and get spoiled on this day by yourself, first and foremost. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm sure there might be some people that will pop in and out. I will hopefully be keeping this masterclass to an hour today. I know I love to give my all, but sometimes that goes over time. And I know we don't always have 3 hours to spend on the masterclass. So we will be here for the next hour. You are here because you are probably experiencing what I'm terming manifestation frustration. And this masterclass is going to help you navigate what to do when it feels like manifestation is not working for you. Now, please apologize. I apologize for my voice in advance. I have been a bit sick over the last few weeks and my voice is not fully back. So may have to clear my throat every now and then. If you are here in this masterclass, you are probably not somebody that is new to manifestation. So this is not a masterclass that's going to teach you how to manifest because you probably already know how to manifest. This is going to take you to the next level of manifestation where you have irrefutable proof already that manifestation does work, but you want all of it now. You want to, and please let me know in the chat box if this is how you feel. You want to step into that vision board life. You want to be able to go, I have it all. I made it. I got my life that I wanted, that I dreamed of, that I visualized. It's not about just manifesting a home or a car or a person or an event. Sorry. It's truly about manifesting it all. Having it all, the vision board life where your whole entire life is a manifestation. So we are going to look at the levels of manifestation. Let me just clear my throat. This is annoying for me and probably you too. Right, we should be back. We're going to look at the 4 levels of manifestation, which is something unique to Mind Your Hero. And it's really helpful to understand the different levels because when you understand the different levels, you're able to assess where your energy leaks are much better. We'll look at the quantum manifestation process. Now, this is very different to how I would generally teach manifestation at a beginner level, which is your 5-step manifestation process. Now, the 5-step manifestation process is not null and void. It's just for different levels. You will require a different kind of structure because when you're first coming into the world of manifestation, the human mind needs the roadmap, the exact steps. But again, if you are here, you're good with those 5 steps. You want something even more now. You want to go deeper with this information. And like I said in the emails, we'll be bringing in human design. We'll be bringing in gene keys. We'll be bringing in the depths of which you can go to with this so that you can have it all. You can have the wealth, you can have the abundance, you can have the love, you can have the fulfillment, you can have it all. And it really is so possible. And we're going to look deeply into how to change your frequency because that's the thing that I think most people don't understand about manifestation. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So this, I heard the last part of this quote the other day, and it so deeply resonated with me. And when I went and found the whole of it, I was blown away. Rumi is my favorite Persian poet. He has he states my favorite quote of all time, which is, "Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion." And this has just hit another level. So here we go. I said, "What about my eyes?" He said, "Keep them on the road." I said, "What about my passion?" He said, keep it burning. I said, what about my heart? He said, tell me what you hold inside it. I said, pain and sorrow. He said, stay with it. The wound is the place where the light enters you. And if you are here today, you are probably feeling challenged in some way or some form, which is why you're here. And let me know in the chat box if this is possibly you, where you're feeling so challenged by manifestation right now. And sometimes it feels like you're in this void where you just can't get out. And it's not that it's terribly bad either. It's just there's this great challenge. And if you're being challenged and if things aren't working out, know that right now you are being cracked open. And where you get cracked open is where the light enters you to illuminate all of your being. And I think that that is just such a beautiful way of looking at it. So, what have you come here for and what will you leave here with? So, you've come here because there's a part of you that puts yourself above or below others. And let me explain what this means. It is a form of comparison, and maybe you're not even aware that you're doing this. But you're kind of sitting back and you're going, but that person has their dream life. And I see this so often, especially in the online space with entrepreneurs, where people will almost feel shamed for being where they are for the amount of time that they've been in their business for. So there are coaches, for example, that have come onto the scene and after 2 years have made multiple six figures, sometimes even multiple seven figures. And if you've been in business for longer than 2 years, you can start to feel like, what am I doing wrong? This may happen to you in the corporate environment. Maybe that there are people that are younger than you with less experience than you that have all of a sudden jumped the career ladder, and you're like, but how have they jumped it when I've been working my ass off? And you're not feeling that recognition. And conversely, there's also probably a part of you that puts yourself above others where you're like, oh, but I'm so high vibrational and I'm like awakened, and no wonder they didn't get their manifestation. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to start to feel illuminated by the shadows that you may be carrying. And again, please let me know if this is something that you feel. And I know it's not always easy to admit, but the more honest you can be with yourself, the more magic you will allow to come into your life, especially in this masterclass. So you're probably also feeling that you've exhausted every effort to get to your dream life. And again, you're not giving up because you've got that irrefutable proof that manifestation does work. You've stacked evidence that it works. And this is where I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, if I need to manifest parking spots, it's so easy. If I want to manifest a car, it's so easy. I know this to be true from my own experience, where I was able to manifest jobs. Like literally, I would just think about it and I would walk into interviews already knowing that I had the job. But then when it came to actually manifesting the bigger things, at one point in my life, it was my love life. At another point, it's been money. At another point, it's been like there's been different iterations of this frustration. But it was like, I know manifestation exists because I've manifested this, this, and this. But why can't I manifest X, Y, and Z as well? So it feels like you're trying everything and you're exhausting all your efforts, and that's leaving you feeling exhausted. And now you're just looking for that resolution. And you're feeling like you're not moving forward and you're not where you should be in life. So you feel like there's a part of you that's getting left behind. And let me know if this is you, because I know that this has been me so many times in life and in business and in all sorts of things. Like, society puts timelines on us, especially as women, and we start questioning, like, oh, but my clock's ticking and this needs to happen and I should be here and I should be, and there's all these shoulds, and we shouldn't be shoulding. Okay, so if you feel like you may be left behind, and this will specifically, and I'm talking specifically now to the projectors, if you feel like you're being left behind, it can be quite a projector trait as well. And Teresa, I know you're a projector, so you might be feeling like you're being left behind. This masterclass is going to show you that you're exactly where you're meant to be. I want you to leave here feeling all shame, guilt, the feeling of being embarrassed or ashamed for where you are in life, melted away by the end of this masterclass, because I want you to inherently know this one big truth right now. You are not doing anything wrong. Okay, there is nothing wrong about you. It's not that God, the universe, source, spirit, etc., is trying to punish you in any way. Again, you're being cracked open, and the purpose of this masterclass is to find where those energy leaks are, that you can then heal them, bring them to your awareness, transmute the pain, so that you can step into the higher expression. I will also say this from the upfront and get-go. Manifestation is simple. And this process I'm going to show you today is actually even more simple than the 5-step process. But it's not always easy, because there is a level of dedication, commitment, consistency that most people don't have. And how I always like to look at it is, if you're wanting to have a beautiful six-pack body, we know that that requires you going to the gym and eating correctly and doing all the things, right? Now, what happens is that people that are in the mindset of having a healthy lifestyle, they don't even question if they need to go to the gym. They just know, they go, they do their training to maintain their six-pack, okay? Now, if they did sit-ups once a year, do you think that they would have their abs for the rest of the year? No, because it's science. They need to continuously do the work. Now, with mindset, it's a little bit less tangible, because we're not seeing necessarily the physical changes in our body, or we're not seeing like that tangible evidence. And what happens is that we go on this roller coaster where we're living in the vibration, we're seeing things coming to fruition, we're seeing, and then things start to get easier. And the moment it gets easier and the moment it gets good, we stop the basic principles. And when we stop the basic principles, what happens is that we go back to ground zero. But it doesn't happen instantaneously, because nothing happens instantaneously. There's a time delay, which we'll get into in this masterclass. There's a time delay in the universe. And when we start to bottom out to zero, that's when we're going to feel stuck and frustrated and like you're not moving forward. And then what happens is that we go back to doing the basics. We go back to like journaling or meditating or doing all of these things. And then it takes 6 to 8 weeks again for everything to start flowing again. And that's why you feel like you're in this constant stop-start relationship with the universe, with your manifestations. Let me know if that resonates. You can even just put a little thumbs up or a heart or whatever next to your video. I want to see if this resonates with you. And basically, there are times in your life where you know that in order to receive your desires, you need to detach from the outcome. And that sometimes leaves you feeling, well, I'm just not going to care about my manifestations anymore. And it's not about not caring about your manifestations. That's not going to bring about it either. And we're going to talk a lot about duality and polarity in this masterclass, because that is one of the universal laws, which is the law of polarity. And most people don't understand this law. And the law states that for everything in the universe, there is a polar equal opposite. So right now, if you are crippled and trapped by debt, there is the polar equal opposite of feeling so free financially that exists out there for you. You just have to know how to turn up the temperature dial. So if you think about like hot and cold, and I always use the example of having an old car with like one of those dials that you would quite physically move. The temperature, hot and cold, is on the same linear scale, right? It's the same thing. That we've got one polar opposite, which is cold, and the other polar opposite, which is hot. And depending on where you place that temperature dial, you will experience the effect of where you place that temperature dial. And changing and altering our frequency on a continuous basis is how we get to set that dial. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But it's really to understand that for everything in the universe, there's a polar equal opposite. So in order for you to experience freedom, you have to experience what it feels like to be trapped. And when we understand this, I actually almost get excited. And I have a current one-on-one client right now who is feeling very trapped, and it's inside her bones even, and you'll understand more when we get into the Gene Keys component of this masterclass. And she's feeling so trapped and inside her bones. And I know that this is the moment that she's making the decision to be free. And she's going to have that freedom from going through this experience. But she wouldn't have the freedom if it weren't for this experience. So this is why we need to start to celebrate every outcome of our situations, because there is nothing that's good or bad. It's all just relative. And we only give it these words of like, oh, this is good and this is bad, because we want to make it mean something. But if we don't make it mean something, then we can look at it from a very neutral standpoint. And when we look at things from a neutrality, things things appear differently. And this is all about changing our perception, because when we change our perception, we can change our frequency. When we change our frequency, we're changing how we feel. Okay, so it's not about not caring about our manifestations. It's simply going, I have so much determination. I'm going to be invincible. And this is what I'm here for. I'm here to experience all of life. I'm here to experience the versatility of my skills, and everything in life up until this point and everything going forward is preparing you to hold a greater capacity for the manifestations to come in. I always use the example of, a CEO. If you're starting out, and I'm currently very obsessed with suits. So let's think about a law firm, okay? If you are just starting out as like one of the junior associates, you have a very long ladder to climb up to getting to senior partner. And you're not going to just come into a company fresh out of varsity or college going, give me the senior partner position. You wouldn't know what you're doing. You need to go through so many different trials and court cases and information in order to expand yourself to being able to hold the problems you'll be able to solve at the level that a senior partner would be able to, right? There's that level of progression, and manifestation is the same. We just expand in energetic capacity to hold and solve problems differently. I had one of the most challenging weeks of my life last week. Okay. I'm solo parenting. I've been sick. I have a toddler, and I'm pregnant, which is a lot to hold. But I've gotten so efficient that everything in my life is automated. We get online groceries delivered to us. So I don't have to go to the shops. I don't have to like spend an hour or so doing shopping when I've got a business to grow. I've even purchased a vegetable chopper, because do you know how long it takes me to chop up vegetables? I'm a person that likes to make 3 fresh meals a day, and chopping vegetables is the bane of my existence because it takes so long. So I've automated that process, got a food chopper, boom, smash, done. And everything in my life I've automated so that I can hold more energy when things like that go wrong. And last week was challenging, but I came out at the end of it and I was like, I'm so proud of myself, because if this was my position a couple of years back, I would have completely fallen apart. So it just showed so much growth and evolution. And that's how I want you to view your challenges that you're experiencing right now as well. How are you evolving and growing through your challenges so that you can become the energetic container that has the capacity to hold more? Let me know if that makes sense. Drop a heart, put a thumbs up, and yeah. So if you are new, I see some new faces, and there were a lot of new people that registered that I don't know. So I just want to quickly introduce myself. And I want to say that this is a very special year for me. It's my 7th year of being deep in the inner work, of making the decision to change. And 7 years ago, almost to the day specifically, I was in a very different position. I was single. I was working in a corporate job. I was unable to afford to move out. I was always looking for love and trying to find the one. And I was at a point in my life where I was wanting to have financial and time freedom to have a family. Everything in my life I've ever done was to have the time and financial freedom to have a family. And there I was at 27, single, not able to afford to move out, in a corporate job that I didn't hate the company I was working for. It's just I got to a point in my career where I was very bored with the industry I was in, and I wanted something more. And I knew deep inside the hills of my being that I was meant for greatness. And in a very short space of time, I was able to collapse so many timelines. And I'm now a South African living in Dublin. I have the most amazing relationship. I have a 16-month-old baby. I have another one on the way, and I have the time and financial freedom to do what I'm doing today. And this shows that, I've really manifested that life of you get to have it all. I'm now looking towards the next iteration of what that looks like, and I'm starting to collapse timelines into that version of myself. But if I had to tell you that it came to me easily and everything was just a easy breezy and a magical rainbow experience, I would be lying. There have been more challenges and more times where I've wanted to give up than I can count on two hands, or like even on like an entire abacus. I want you to know that it hasn't always been easy, but I'm so grateful to every challenge I've ever experienced, because it's helped me grow and evolve to a different level and to a larger capacity. So that is a little bit about me. In terms of human design, because we will be talking about human design, I'm a 3/5 emotional generator, and I live and breathe my design. At the moment, I'm also so obsessed with going through my gene keys once again, because I find that to be the most transformative piece of work that I've ever worked with. And I'll be sharing a testimonial at the end of this presentation where one of my clients that's been with me for 2 years now, she's taking all the programs that I have to offer. It's really beautiful to see how many people, and a lot of you on this call are returning clients, have been in my world for way longer than like a year. And she had worked with top coaches in the industry, invested thousands of pounds in courses and mentors, etc. And she also says that nothing moved the needle forward quite like entering the world of human design and understanding her gene keys, and specifically in the way that I had like given her the tools to do that. And that's what I'm going to be showing and sharing with you today, is how you can move the needle forward with understanding yourself so deeply. So let's look at the different levels of manifestation. Whenever we come into the world, and I don't believe any of you are here, otherwise you wouldn't be in this masterclass. I did state very categorically that this was a masterclass that is more advanced. It's not going to teach you how to manifest, right? You all know how to visualize, you all know how to, declare what you want and call it in and make the space and all of those things. So I don't believe any of you are here, but you will probably you can think back to a time where you were here. And when I first started my journey, this was definitely me, which was the oh, woe is me, the misunderstood hero. This is where you believe that everything is happening to you, not that it's happening for you, and I say this with love, because even though I mostly sit around this level now, I can still fall back into this. I can still fall back into this. And the mentor I'm working with right now is like, sometimes I fall into victim mentality. Please call me out on my own bullshit. So I say this with love. If you do find yourself here, it is victim mentality, where you blame everything in your external world as to why you can't move forward. And this is where we give our power away. We say, oh, well, this isn't happening for me, and it's because of this situation. It's because of the world economy. It's because of this. It's because of that. And yes, while those things are to be acknowledged and to be honored, this is the power of manifestation. We can out manifest any situation. It doesn't depend on our circumstances. Manifestation is about moving into possibility thinking. So when we understand that, oh, I'm being a bit of a victim here, I'm blaming everything else, how can I take back my power, the remote control of my life? You go into a co-creative relationship with the universe, and you understand that you get to create your future, and therefore you're not giving your power away anymore. You're not having a crap day because of the world economy. You're having a crap day because you let those things affect you. You get to take responsibility, which is how we move into the next level, and see how you can react to that differently. Now, it's to hopefully activate you, to make you aware of when you are in the victim mode, but it's not to shame you, because I want you to know that everyone can fall into the victim mentality. It's not something that you need to shame and punish yourself for. It's just to have the awareness of, oh, there's the blame coming up again. If I'm blaming things, then I'm in the misunderstood hero phase of manifestation. And if I'm in the misunderstood hero phase of manifestation, I need to go back to basics. And that's where when you go back to basics, you'll be able to take responsibility and move into the micromanaging hero phase, right? So what do basics look like? Well, it looks like for me, and I'm going to talk about the 8 energies that we would work with in our identity center in human design, but I'm not going to go through it like quite literally. I'm going to talk about the basics that are in that center. It's, well, how are you looking after yourself? But truly looking after yourself. Looking after yourself is not just about getting your nails done, making sure your hair's done and your makeup's applied beautifully. Looking after yourself is, what am I ingesting into my body? Because your body is a container for your physical energy, and everything is energy. And we always talk about how when you want to bring something into your life, you need to be that match, that energetic match, right? So if you are like going back to understanding your energy, it starts with, what am I ingesting? What am I consuming? How am I sleeping? Am I drinking enough water? And those are basic things. It goes back to, am I understanding and transmuting my emotions? Please note, this is not about positive thinking. I don't believe in positive thinking. I believe that positive thinking is actually bypassing the actual crux of what is happening. You need to honor those emotions. You need to really sit with them to transmute them. But if you don't do that, then what happens is that those emotions actually just sit in your frequency. They sit in your aura, they grow and they expand, and then bring in more situations into your life until you deal with them. So it's not about spiritually bypassing. It's not about emotionally bypassing. It's about honoring the lower frequencies. Pardon. It's about honoring the lower frequencies so that you can move into the higher frequencies. And something that's really helped me understand low and high vibration, because I think so many people, especially on manifestation TikTok, which we're on a warpath with, but we kind of term and view being high vibration as being further up the hierarchy than lower vibe things, right? But what does low and high vibration actually mean? Low vibration just means that waves are moving slower. High vibration means they're moving quicker. So even on the victim misunderstood level of manifestation, you can still manifest. You can still manifest, but at a rate of maybe 10 times what you could be doing up here. It's not about somebody being above or below. It's about you just going faster or slower. It doesn't determine the value of your soul. It doesn't determine how you view yourself or any of that. It's just how fast you are moving. So I hope that that clears that up for some of you as well. Let me pause. Okay, so once we start to go back to the basics, we go back to, how can we move through emotion? How can we reframe our thoughts? And this is the actual work, the consistent daily efforts that we need to be doing. Oh, that's an interesting thought. I wonder where that's coming from. I need to shift and change that. And maybe it's, for example, that you want to be manifesting more money. And you know that that's your end goal. But every time you pay for a bill, you're like, oh, can't believe I had to pay that much money. Or, oh, I can't afford that. Go back to managing your language. It's the simple things. That's the thing about manifestation. It's simple, but it's about this deep awareness. So you have to catch these thoughts. You have to transmute them. I can't afford that. Oh, no, we don't like that language. How could I afford this if I wanted to? Or the value of this item is a premium price and it's just not aligned to where I'm at right now. Or I'm on the pathway to being able to afford this. Universe, show me all the possible options right now, how I could afford this. So that's what I mean by going back to basics. You know the basics. You have to reprogram your mind. You have to heal through the heavy stuff. It's not about spiritually bypassing. That's the continuous work we get to do. So once you've taken responsibility, you move into the micromanaging hero level of manifestation. And this is where you start to manifest things at a greater rate. But this is where you're probably stuck right now, which is, you want to go fishing and you want 3 salmons for lunch. And right now, you know that you're in the river with all the fish around you. But instead of just going downstream, you're fighting, you're going upstream. And this is where I look at people, and they've generally fallen into trying, hustling, and pushing energy. So this is a conversation I want to have around motivation, momentum, taking inspired action, detachment, masculine versus feminine energy. All of those topics will be combined into what I have to say now. There is a time where you need to take inspired action. But inspired action doesn't come from a place of desperation of, I need to do this, otherwise I'm not going to make money. I need to do this, otherwise this is not going to happen. I should be. It doesn't come from that. That comes from deeply sitting with your heart, deeply sitting with yourself, allowing guidance to work through you. And often the guidance is going to get you to take big, scary steps of action. But what happens is that people go, that's a little bit scary. I'm not going to do that. That's so far out of my comfort zone. Manifestation is supposed to be easy flowing. Manifestation is supposed to feel good all the time. And if that is you, this is my love letter to you. Manifestation is simple. It's not always easy. If it was easy, everybody would be living their dream lives already. So to move into the micromanaging hero level, you need to really start assess what is the inspired action that you're taking, and from what place is it from within you? Is it from the place of I'm trying, I'm pushing, I'm hustling, or is it from I'm being divinely guided and led to taking this action, and it might not work out, but I know I'm going to learn a lesson along the way. And when you do that, that's when you're working with the masculine and feminine energy beautifully. You're taking the inspired steps of action. And whilst we're on this, we're going to talk about motivation. Most people wait for motivation to hit them, but motivation doesn't come from just sitting back. Motivation comes from you actively taking the steps of action that you know you need to do, even when you don't feel like it, because you're not going to be high vibe all the time. You're not going to be a fast moving being all the time. You're going to need to have moments of rest. You're going to need to have moments of going. You're going to need to have all of that, but you're not going to feel high vibe all the time. You're not going to feel wonderful all the time. You're not going to feel that you're in this frequency of attractive energy all the time. But when you take steps of action, even when you don't feel like it, you're going to find motivation along the way. Motivation comes from doing the hard things that you don't want to do. It doesn't come from sitting back and waiting for it to hit you before you can go to gym. And I go back to gym often because it's such a tangible thing. But I know that we've got a lot of fitness enthusiasts that are on this call. And how many times have you felt like, oh, I just don't want to train today. I just don't want to go for that run today. I just don't want to, go to that CrossFit class today. How many times have you felt that way? And how many times have you gone regardless because you had made a commitment to a friend or whatever, and you come back and you're like, oh, I knew I should have gone. Like, that was the best class. Like, I feel so good. The endorphins are rushing. That's how you will feel motivated. Motivation needs to be earned. It doesn't find you. And again, that's where a lot of people are going wrong with their manifestations. It's like, well, when I feel good and high vibe, then I'll take the action. Then I'll post my offer. Then I'll launch my program. It comes from doing that regardless. And that's where the consistency is coming from. But consistency of like, well, I need to hustle and I need to do this and I need to do that. That's not consistent energy. So does that make sense? And that's the duality we're holding here. It's not about going, well, I need to make this happen, so I'm going to force it. It's going, what is the guidance that I can be led by universe, source, God, etc., to take the scary steps, to take the action I need to take, and how can I hold that frequency? And when you've mastered doing the basics, that is what adds to your what we call your predominant frequency. So let me quickly explain the time delay in the universe, as well as like your thermostat. We have a thermostat for everything in our life. We've got a financial thermostat, a love thermostat, whatever. We've got a manifestation thermostat, right? So when you first start your journey, maybe your needle's on 0. And then you do a meditation, it moves up. But throughout the day, that kind of dwindles. But it doesn't go back to 0, it just goes back to there. The next day, you do some journaling, you do a workout, you feel really good. Whoop. The next day after that, something happens, you trip, you fall, you hit your head, you're like, oh, the universe is giving me bad signs. Oof. Then you do this, then you do this. And slowly but surely, from doing the basic things on a continuous basis, you're doing this. And when it gets to this is where people are like, life is so good right now. I don't need to do my journaling. I don't need to do my meditation. I don't need to do any of that stuff. And boom. Slowly but surely it goes dum, 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 dum. Right? So this is why when we've been working on our predominant frequency, when we're here, we can have a shitty day. It's not going to change how we manifest. We can have a moment of sadness and grief. Not really going to, if we're having a moment of sadness and grief from this level, it's not a huge gap. It's not a huge gap. We're still going to be able to manifest. And this is why I say we manifest from our predominant frequency, not our temporary state. So we will get into why we need to feel really good about our manifestations coming to us, but we don't need to consistently be high vibe happy all the time. It's from doing the small things on a continuous basis that add up, that give us our predominant frequency, and that's what we're attracting from. So if, for example, you're working on your money mindset right now because you know that that's where you need to be doing the work in order to receive more money, it's going, okay, if, for example, let's just say, for example, I was manifesting crystal glassware for my kitchen. I'm not, but that would be wonderful. So universe, give me crystal glassware. If I had crystal glassware, and this is a glass from IKEA, how am I treating this glass right now in this very moment? Am I treating it as well as I would the crystal glassware, or am I just treating it like shit because it's like, oh, well, it's a cheap one? No, value everything in your life, because if you value everything in your life, then the more things you value, the more value will come your way. So it's about doing those little things. If I was wanting to, look at money in a different way, I would be doing that in every part of my day. How can I shift back into abundance? How can I view this differently? That's the small things that we're doing to get into that predominant frequency so that you are an energetic match for money coming to you all the time, always. But it's through the little steps of action that you're doing on a continuous basis. And that continuous basis part, the simple steps, easy. Continuous basis, not so easy. That's the polarity. Okay. So when you want to move from the micromanaging hero, which is the hero swimming upstream, trying to get her 3 beautiful salmon fish for lunch, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a fish there, but I'm going to try and I'm going to hustle and I'm going to push because I know I need to get this fish. And like, you're going to be exhausted. There is a different way. You're in the lake, well, the river, you're swimming, which is the inspired action. But now you need to learn to trust and surrender that it's going to happen. And this is about removing the fear and doubt, constantly reprogramming your mind. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to afford this. But no. Have I taken the inspired action? Yes. Have I listened to my heart's guidance? Yes. Is there anything more I need to be doing right now? Maybe, maybe not. Can I follow that advice? Yes. Okay, can I trust and surrender that it's going to happen because I know it's going to happen? And that's when we move into that knowingness. It's that trusting, it's that surrendering. And that is undoubtedly the hardest part of manifestation. So when we do that though, we move into, I need 3 fish for lunch. I'm manifesting it. Oh, look, I'm going downstream. Oh, wow, there's a fish there. Thanks. Pick that up. Another one, pick that up. And even though you are in the river flowing downstream, oh, there's a rock. Got to overcome that. It's not to say that it's going to be flowing downstream all the time without any challenges. It's just that you're equipped better in how you deal with those challenges. Let me know if this is like resonating. If you're enjoying this, please put something in the comments. If this is like really resonating with you and if this is landing for you, because if I'm going too fast or too slow, I want to know. I want to know. So please just let me know if this is still really captivating you. Okay, so it's landing for me. Amazing, amazing, great. So now we're in the liberated hero phase. You probably have experienced moments of being your unleashed hero version of yourself. But I would say to be in the state always is not possible either. Okay. Neil Donald Walsh writes in his book, Conversations with God, that if you were to be in an orgasm as a permanent state, obviously that would actually end up being painful. It's great to have these moments of it, but you can't be in that state consistently. And this is what I view as that like orgasmic state. Okay. And that's often when we have just received a manifestation, or you all are enjoying that moment of pure bliss, and you're just like, oh my gosh, is this real life? Is this real life right now? Um, like how is life so magical? How is this happening for me? But that's not going to be every second of every day. If you were in this all enlightened state all of the time, they say that you would reach your point of nirvana. And if a person was truly this enlightened, they could walk through a battlefield and not be hit by a single bullet. It is a deep level of being enlightened. It's the level that I think a lot of Buddhist monks devote their life to finding. But I believe that if you're here, you're wanting to experience the 3D plane as well, which means you want to experience what it means to be human, what it means to live your opulent lifestyle, what it means to drive the car that you want, to have the love of your life, and not to give that all up. So yes, we get to experience moments of this, and it's when we truly feel love. You don't feel isolation. You see everything as one. It is pure. I see it as like golden, sparkling, magical energy. But we don't want to live here all the time. We want to try live here. This is a beautiful flow. I'm getting what I want. I'm overcoming challenges. I trust in the universe. I'm taking the inspired action. I'm doing the consistent work. But I don't need to be in that all enlightened state all of the time. And this ties in really beautifully. And by the way, I'd come up with this system way before I even knew about the Gene Keys. And this kind of reminds me of what it's like to attain a acidic state. And I'm going to talk about how trying to attain the acidic state in a bit will actually end you up in the shadow. So this is how you move through the different levels. Now, in Unleash Your Hero, if you've got access to that program, which I know a couple of you do, there's a full-on 7-step thing of what you can be doing to move up the different levels. But essentially, 2 of them are: 1, to celebrate every outcome. Like I said, there's nothing good or bad. It is all working for you. And when you can see how it's working for you, you take back your power and you can start to move into a co-creative relationship with the universe, as opposed to going, everything's happening for me. I'm blaming everything. Okay, I'm blaming the Instagram algorithm. I'm blaming the economy. I'm blaming whatever. That's giving your power away. Taking back your responsibility by looking at every situation as it's happening for me is how you will really start to shift things quickly. And then to live in a state of coherence. And we're going to get into this more, but living in a state of coherence is basically when you are so aligned with your heart and your identity and your being that you know how the universe works, universe, God, source works through you. So welcome to the human design element, where we're going to look at how we manifest on a quantum level now. Now, again, this is advanced manifestation. And not many people will teach manifestation in this way. And I would argue that nobody's going to teach manifestation in the way I teach manifestation, because I blend so many modalities together. And I've really deeply understood this through my own life experiences. So your direction comes from who you are being. Okay. How does this make sense? We've got our head. So firstly, I will be talking about definition versus openness or being undefined. That simply means if you're looking at your charts, you've got colored in or white shapes. Okay. If you are slightly newer to human design, I would highly, even if you're not that new to human design, I would still highly recommend you actually purchase one of our human design charts that are available. I'll send you the link, because it will really help you understand how you operate from each of these senses. It's impossible for me to go through every single combination because there's 3 billion. But if you purchase your chart, you'll really start to understand how you operate from these centers. But definition, for the purposes of this now is when it's colored in, and being undefined or open is white. So we start off with a head center. Now, this is where most people don't know how to use their minds. They think their mind is a place to solve problems and get solutions and ask questions and find the answers. But it's not. The mind is to gain inspiration and to release the questions you have into the universe, and a better caliber of question so that you can find the answers, but from your body. Your body will hold the wisdom. And to explain this, have you ever had a moment where perhaps, and I can think of so many times of me driving, where I was like, oh, I don't know why, but I should just take this off ramp. If I ignore that, I would end up in one hell of a traffic jam and be like, oh, I knew I should have taken that off ramp. But what happens is that the mind overrides everything. And when mind overrides, it goes, but logically, if you stay on the highway, it's going to be a quicker time, blah, 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 blah. If you can start to logically analyze why you should or shouldn't do something, you're working from the mind, and the mind is filled with doubt, confusion, and mystery. You don't want to be making decisions from that. You want to be making it from body-based intelligence. So when you learn how to use your mind, and there are going to be differences. So the way you will use your mind is to ask better questions and to release the pressure from the mind by saying, universe, show me all the different possibilities that are available to me right now. That is one of the most powerful questions that you can ask. And especially because I know that there are some coaches watching this that are very service-based, heart-led entrepreneurs. That is the kind of caliber of woman I attract into my world. The best question you can ask yourself is, how can I be of service today? Show me how I can lead with personal power from a place of love and create the impact I know I'm here to make. That is a very high quality caliber of question. But what often happens is that we go, universe, how am I going to manifest $5,000 by the end of this month? All right. Who here has done that? I know I have. Instead of going, show me all the different ways in which I could possibly make $5,000 by the end of the month, and then list them all out and going, now which ones should I go for and lead from this place of impact and service? Because we'll get into the heart space now. Which ones are you guiding me, and how can you work through me to be the vessel for the work that I'm here to do? Okay, so when we ask better questions like that, we get better answers. Now, when we release the pressure from our minds, so if you're battling to meditate, if you're battling to visualize, if you're feeling scrambled, it's probably because of the pressure buildup inside your mind. When you learn how to release that pressure, you're going to start to send neurotransmitters to your emotions, which is your emotional solar plexus over here. Now, this is where having a defined versus an undefined emotional solar plexus will be very crucial to understanding in this process. Because if you have a defined emotional solar plexus, it's going to be really beautiful for you to understand how you transmute your emotions. I'm a person that does have an emotional solar plexus. I know that if I'm in a peak or a trough of my emotional solar plexus, the best way to calm me down is through touch. Okay, that's how somebody changes my frequency. If I'm having a moment of going, this is the best idea, oh, this is the worst thing ever, this is the thing, oh, this is, until I find that emotional clarity, what happens is that I suppress things, I swallow it, I suppress things, I swallow it, I suppress things, I swallow it, and then I burst. But before I burst, if somebody just comes and puts their hand on my shoulder and says, it's okay, everything's going to be okay, that emotional like buildup just dissipates. So that's the power of knowing how your emotions work. Now, if you're undefined, you're going to be amplifying everybody else's emotions around you. So you really need to sit and go, is this genuinely mine, or is this somebody else's? Okay. So when you start to calibrate your emotions, this is why so many people, and I think Abraham Hicks is the one that coined, like, just feel a good feeling for 90 seconds, because it's going to start to change things. Because when you start to feel that good feeling thought, it's going to change the way you visualize and have the thoughts that you have, which is coming from your subconscious mind, which you can change through neuroplasticity. And when you start to feel those good vibrations, it's also calibrating the other way around too. But when you start to feel these good emotions, or good, bad, high vibration, low vibration, transmuting, whatever it is, you're going to start to send you're going to basically start to calibrate your heart center, because if you look at the earth, if you look at us, we all have what we call an electromagnetic resonance field. So I'm sure you've seen those torus knots of energy that flow out the body, through the body, etc. This is how we're calibrating that electromagnetic field around us. It's how we're calibrating our heart. So I said that I'm going to talk about living in coherence. Living in coherence is when your mind and your heart have a connection and they're calibrating to each other. And your heart center in human design is actually both your identity center and your ego center. And these two centers kind of, so if you looked at the Hindu chakra system back before we went through an evolutionary phase where we had 7 centers originally, 2 of which split into 2, which was the heart center and then the emotional solar plexus. These 2 centers combined together make up the heart center in the Hindu chakra system. One's called your identity center, one's called your ego / will center / heart center in human design. Now, this is what we start to calibrate. And we have the base of who we are and who we are being is here in our identity center, which is part of the electromagnetic resonance field that we emit into the world. And that's what we emit into our aura. And our aura is doing the attracting to us. And when we look at the subconscious mind and neurolinguistics programming and things like that, when we start to calibrate our mind, we've also got our reticular activating system that's bringing in things to us, opportunities. So we're actually never repelling our desires. We're only attracting them because the seat of our soul sits inside our identity center, and that is the magnetic resonance field that is attracting everything to us. So this goes back to a conversation of who we are being is what we are attracting. The thoughts we are thinking are calibrating our emotions. Our emotions are sending like that calibration to our magnetic resonance field around our heart. And that's what's all attracting to us. Now, does that make sense to you, ladies? Please let me know. I know that I was completely mind blown when this was explained to me for the first time. And I saw manifestation from a completely different perspective from that day forward. Please let me know whilst I have a sip of water, quickly clear my throat if this is resonating. Okay, so just want to read what I've written here because it actually makes more sense. The pressure to answer questions comes through your head center as thoughts. Thoughts trigger the production of neurotransmitters. That's quite physically your subconscious mind activating your reticular activating system inside your subconscious mind. Neurotransmitters create an emotional response. This can be a high frequency or a low frequency wave. Fast wave, slow wave. That's all that means. Emotions are what determines the frequency that we operate on. Okay. What do we manifest from? We manifest from our predominant frequency. Okay. Then understanding how to shift our emotional frequency will help us create better quality emotions. Higher vibrational emotions versus lower vibrational emotions. There are no right or wrong emotions. They just are. And then this then influences the magnetic monopole and what you attract into your life. And that's the electromagnetic resonance field that comes from your heart and your being. So simply, to put this all into very, very simple steps of action, ask your mind every day to show you the possibilities that exist for you. Because when you do that, you open yourself up to the quantum world and to the quantum field to download information to you. You know how they say that the how is not our job in manifestation. That's what that means. It means that if you want something, the quantum field will show you how. And it might not be the exact thing. So, for example, I might find an idea to launch a new offer in Mind Your Hero. And that may not be the thing that will get me to the $1 million business, but it's going to teach me something along the way. And I have to trust in that. And the next thing might. But if I constantly go back to show me all the different possibilities, work through my heart space, allow me to have that guidance, it's going to come. It's inevitable. It's always inevitable. Then, when you have your emotions, sit with them. Is this an emotion I want to feel right now? Or is this an emotion that I don't want to feel right now? And if it is an emotion that you do want to feel, do more of what you're doing. And if it's not an emotion you want to experience, understand it to transmute it to experience what you want to be feeling. So if you're feeling trapped, how can you transmute that into feeling free? If you're feeling sad, how can you transmute that into knowing that happiness exists on the same spectrum of sadness? And who are you being? That is like, and for those in the Hero Collective membership, go into the embodiment training from last month and go into the 8 energies of this identity center, because that is the electromagnetic resonance field that you're always emitting. So go back to, who are you being? Who are you being? So I quickly want to go through why the gene keys can really shift your frequency very quickly when you understand how to work with it. I'm not going to go into the depths of explaining every sphere. That's like another 5-part training that would require a lot of time. But essentially, the Gene Keys is a system downloaded by Richard Rudd. And what I love about it is that it does work very well in symbiosis with human design. And how I use it is I blend the two modalities together. You have your gates in your human design system, which will end up being the spheres of your gene key system. And you will not have different placements in your human design versus gene keys. You will literally have the exact same placements in your gene keys as you would in human design. Okay, so it's the same thing. And what I love about it is that it shows you very clearly where you will be experiencing your challenges and how you can move into the gift. So these are my gene keys. If I look at my gene key 40, so remember I said that we've got a city state, we've got a gift, and we've got a shadow. The shadow is exhaustion, and the gift is resolve, and the highest expression is divine will. Now, if I looked at myself and I was going into trying and hustling and pushing energy, I know I'm going to end up exhausted. So that is one of my shadows that I have gotten to know very, very well. Because I now know that this exists within me as one of my lower expressions, I will know that when I'm trying to find divine will by like using and exerting my willpower, because gate 40 sits in my heart center, which is all about willpower. When I know that I'm exerting myself to go push, try, hustle, I'm actually using my willpower, my divine will, which is actually going to lead me to exhaustion. Whereas if I sit in more balance, which is what resolve essentially means in this gene key, if I sit in balance of everything that I'm holding, the divine will naturally flow out of me. But it doesn't come from a place of me trying to get to divine will. It comes from me understanding when I'm exhausted and what I need to do, how I can balance rest with working, balance taking inspired action with sitting in meditation to receive the guidance. It comes from balancing that. And that is what is resolved. And that is what leaks out into the cells of my being. And that is what operates my predominant frequency and then starts to attract more to me. So this is kind of the roadmap. This is the roadmap to helping you understand exactly where your energy leaks could be. So when you are feeling like the misunderstood, oh, woe is me hero, you can go to your chart. And even if you don't know everything about the charts right now, look at the words. Do I sometimes feel weakness? Oh my God, that's a bit calling out, but yes, I do. Do I sometimes go into exhaustion? Oh my gosh, yes, I do. Have I had inertia before where I feel like I just stop and I'm stuck and I can't move forward? Yes. Oh my word, yes, I do. And do I sometimes feel indifferent? Like just don't care. Yes, I do. Okay. You can look at all of them. Now, I know psychosis looks like a very hectic one. It just means that you drive yourself mad by asking yourself the same question over and over again. So definitely does take some unpacking to do with these gene keys, but just look at the words. Look at the words. Can I feel equality? Yeah, like there are times where I really, really start to see how we are all one. And yeah, definitely. Do I have determination? I have so much determination. It's what's made me not give up all this time. It's naturally, inherently in me. So this is the power of understanding your gene keys. Now, what I want to do today is go through one of them, the sphere, which is your purpose sphere, specifically the line energy. Now, whether you've got your gene key chart in front of you or not, I'm going to tell you exactly what your line will be. I want you to all right now list out the your profile line. So you might have a 1-3 profile line, a 1-4, a 2-4, a 2-5, a 3-5, a 3-6, a 4-6, a 4-1, a 5-1, a 5-2, a 6-2, a 6-3. List out your profile line in the chat section, because this is going to help you understand what you need to do to change your frequency. Amazing. So Vix is a 6-2. I'm a 3-5, another 6-2 Anita. Amazing. So let me know what your profile line is. 3-5 Ronnie, 3-5 Teresa. Okay, amazing. So I'm going to focus a lot on the 6-2 and the 3-5 because you've got that. If you are something else, I know Colin, you've got a really rare profile line. I think you're 2-5. Yep, there we go, 2-5. You will actually still listen to the 3-5 information because we're working on our second line here. So Vix, you are paying it. Vix and Anita, you are paying attention to line 2 posture fluids here, where all the rest of us in this group are focusing on line 5 here. But I'm going to go through all of them because I don't know who will be watching the replay. Okay. But I'll pay particular attention to those that are here live. If you want to change your frequency, there are many ways that we can do this. So when you are experiencing the heaviness in your manifestation, when you are experiencing the doubt, the fear, the lack, the scarcity, all of those coming up, that's a very basic concept. You will know when you're experiencing those emotions, right? I want you to change your frequency by using what you will naturally have inbuilt into you. Okay. And this is how you do that. So some people will say, oh no, journaling's the best way, or movement's the best way, or this is the best way. You will have a different best way for you depending on how you are wired. This is also, and I want to make this clear, this is also not the only part in the human design chart that I would look at to help you change your frequency. So for example, if you've got gate 25 anywhere in your chart, breath is so important to you. If you've got 4 as your second line, which is a 1-4, a 2-4, then that's going to be even more amplified. You should be doing breath work every day, right? But there are other nuances that I would look at. But for the simplest way to change your frequency, this is what you would do. If you're line 1, so I know that I've worked with a lot of 5-1 profiles. If you have a 4-1, I've only come across, I think, 3 people now with a 4-1. It's a very rare profile line, but essentially your bones hold your frequency. It's a very physical line. It's very much your structural elements of your human physicality. So your purpose is physical, your health and your body is of paramount importance. And I'm working with a 5-1 manifesting generator right now who in her bones is feeling trapped. And what we are doing is we're working with the information she is receiving from her bones to shift her frequency to feel free. And this is what you can do. You can start to like breathe into your bones. You can move your body. You can look after your body. You can start to really understand. And this is where even working with somebody like Anita, I'm going to bring you into the conversation here, of understanding your hunger cues, of understanding what your body needs, of understanding all of those things would really help you with. You need to understand your body, your physical container of where your energy is stored. So that is something that you get to work with. Breathing into your bones will help you shift your frequency. Breathing into your being, moving your being, like rubbing your being, however it is to you that feels good to you, connect with the bones of who you are. Line 2. So we've got a couple of 6-2s here. And 6-2, there we go, amazing, Liesel. So if you have a 2 in your second line of your profile, so this is not the first line, it's the second line. So all the 6-2s, listen up. Your spine is how you change your frequency. I can guarantee you, if you had to get on the floor right now, and if you can, and if you're at home, and if you can, do some cat and cow. You know, the yoga pose we go, even if you just sit in your chair, like wiggle your spine, feel how that starts to really make you feel a little bit different. Because through your spine, you find your core stability. Now, I know if somebody comes to me with lower backache, they're struggling with financial pressure. Let's move that spine. Let's flow with that spine. And radiance, which is your aura, it is the cells in your being that transmits a frequency that extend past you. That's how the cells of our being work. Radiance emerges from fluidity of purpose. So really start to move that spine. Yoga is great for line twos. Posture is like something you need to pay particular attention to. Are you sitting hunched over every day? Just sit up, pull your shoulders back. I'm sure you're already doing this now, regardless of what your line type is. That's going to really start to shift your frequency. These are not mind-blowingly complicated things, ladies. These are simple things. Remember, it's the simple things done consistently. This is not mind-blowingly complicated, okay? But really pay particular attention to your posture. Things like chiropractic or osteopath therapy might work well for you. I'm not saying that you need to do that, but this is obviously just how you will then use your own discernment. But things like that with the line 2 might help you feel more in alignment. Line 3 is movement and blood circulation. This is literally, so we don't have any line 3s here, but I know that there will be 1-3s watching this. 6-3s are, I've actually got somebody in the Hero Collective membership who's a 6-3. So for you, that's a 6-3 or 1-3. You need to move. You need to move your body. You need to go for that run. You need to go for that Pilates class, however it is that you get to move your blood. And it's quite physically like a movement that literally makes you sweat. It's not just a gentle flowing thing. It's movement to get that energy pumping through your body, and blood depends on movement and change to flow through the body. So yeah, that's where your core stability comes through. It's movement and energy and high impact energy. Now, this is where, again, it becomes a bit more nuanced, because there will be certain types of projectors, not every projector, because projectors, you get energy projectors and you get non-energy projectors. There are certain types of projectors that won't want to do a marathon. I'm not saying to do a marathon. I'm saying to move your body in a way that feels good for you and that is sustainable. Whereas a generator, and especially a manifesting generator, if you've got a line 3, you're going to want to do the marathon. Do the marathon, okay? You need to also just be discerning with what movement will work well for you. To all the 2-4s, I don't think we have a 2-4 here, but if you were a 2-4 or a 1-4, 1-4s are also quite uncommon to come across. Breath work, breath work, breath work, breath work. Breathing into your being will bring back the rhythm and the harmony of life for you. So look into doing breath work. I'm currently pregnant, so I will always state you cannot do breath work if you're pregnant, which I know can really be a difficult and challenging time. I have somebody that I've worked with that was like, when she was pregnant, she used to do like breath work as her go-to somatic therapy. And when she was pregnant, she couldn't do it. And she really felt that like urge to do breath work, because that was her release. That was how she changed her frequency. For all of us line 5s here, use your voice. I am quite interested in biohacking at the moment. I can't tell you much about it because I've just started understanding it. But a lot of what they do is they talk about the nervous system, which is something that I obviously also work with. And they say to like help you like get into your sympathetic nervous system, your parasympathetic, whichever one calms you down. I can't remember right now. My baby brain's kicking in. But the sympathetic nervous system, whichever one calms you down, hum, and that is voice. So I know that for me, I will verbally journal sometimes. I will verbally talk about things because, and I love voice notes. I love voice notes because it changes my frequency. When I can hear myself, it changes my frequency and how I perceive things. And remember, this is all about perception. So if you've got a 5-line, sing, use your voice, have a gratitude rant. So a gratitude rant would look like, Thank you, universe. I'm so grateful right now. I've got a room over my head. I've got a beautiful laptop in front of me. I'm connecting to so many souls right now, whether they're here physically in this very present moment or they're watching the replay. I'm feeling that. I'm seeing that. I'm talking about it. I'm expanding that. And the more you do that, you're going to change your frequency as a fifth line. So really understand your voice. Your voice holds a power. And obviously, since Liam has come around, we do a lot more singing in our house. And I think that that's also helped change and shift my frequency because of the singing. I'm letting this out. And I also know the reason why I've been so sick over the last 2 weeks. I'm actually in healing. I've ascended. I'm up leveling, is because I've been working more and more and more on this stuff. So I see this flu as a very very poignant sign that I'm up leveling. The things I'm doing are leading me to my greatest success. And line 6 is very interesting. Line 6 with anything in the human design system and the gene key system is the most interesting line because it goes through so many different iterations. It's not just one thing. It's beautiful. It's such an interesting line. And this is about cellular awareness. This is about your aura does the talking for you. Now, how do you change and affect your aura? Well, this is where like energy healing will work, essential oils, things that work with your auric layer. Acupuncture also does, Reiki, things like that will also help you really shift your frequency. And also especially doing the internal work, because every time you go from a shadow expression, which we're not supposed to fear or be like, oh my God, I'm in the shadow expression. It's to go, oh, I'm in the shadow expression. Something great is going to come out of this. We change our cellular structure. And when our cells vibrate at a different frequency, that goes into our aura and our aura starts to do the attracting. So it becomes this whole like integrative part. But if you're looking to shift your frequency as a 6 line, go for Reiki, do an energy healing, work with essential oils, do the things that work on our auric body, not our physical body. So I hope that that gives you some insight into what you can do very simply to change your frequency. And when you change your frequency, you're changing, let's just go back here, you're changing how you're feeling. When you're changing how you're feeling, you're changing your thoughts. When you're changing your thoughts, you're changing how you're feeling, you're changing who you're being, and you're changing your identity, you're changing all of this. So change happens. Ta-da! Okay, your environment starts to change when you start to change the internal stuff and working with your frequency. So I've put together a roadmap on how you can start to assess the energy leaks that you might have with your manifestation process, so you can walk away from today and go, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going wrong, and I know how to shift this, and I know how to fix this. I use that word very cautiously because you're not broken, you're not doing anything wrong. You just have an energy leak that needs some healing and some patching up, right? So the first thing you need to do is, what is your environment showing you? What is your environment showing you? Is your environment showing you that you don't have the relationship that you want, that your bank account is not reflecting what you want? Right, that's the energy leak. Where can you go back to basics? What are your beliefs around this? What are your thoughts around this? How am I feeling about this? If your bank account is not where it should be right now, how are you feeling about this? If it's not great, how can you shift your frequency when you're looking at it? I can sing to my money. Literally, that's what I can do. I can sing to my money. I can talk to my money. For the 2 profiles, you can move and like think about money flowing through your spine and your being. Okay, go back to basics. This is a very important part. Where have you overcomplicated things in your life? Because our human mind loves to overcomplicate things. If we're not grinding and hustling and pushing and working and blood, sweat, and tears, we're not changing. No, it gets to be simple. But the complexity comes of how are you frequently doing that, even in the good times. Because when the good times roll on, that's when we forget to do our stuff. And when we forget to do our stuff, that's when we go from 0 to 0 again. Okay, that's what we get to do. Then assess your gene keys. Just look at the words, even if you don't know what they all mean. Look at your words. Are you perhaps in the shadow frequency of something? If you are, it's not a bad thing. The gift is coming. Get excited. And also, Once you are in the gift, it doesn't mean that you can't fall back into the shadow. Don't think that it's like a once-off process. It's that continuous building the six-pack work. This is a living transmission of work. Okay. So look at your gene keys. Where are you perhaps in the shadow frequency, and how can you move into the higher expression? And you do that through changing your frequency. When you have the awareness, you will need to change the frequency to start experimenting with your profile line. So exactly what I've just said. If you're looking at your chart and, for example, I've got exhaustion, how can I voice this out? Well, I'm really feeling exhausted right now because I haven't been sleeping properly at night. Okay, that's something. Didn't actually realize that. I'm feeling exhausted because of, didn't realize those things. I now get to change them. I get to change them. I can start going to bed a little bit earlier. I can start doing the basics, going back to the basics. Okay. And then remember, there is a time delay. Consistency is key, and this will help you collapse the timeline. So when you're consistently working on that predominant frequency of going, this is where I'm 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 going, you're working in the predominant frequency, and eventually the predominant frequency actually starts to expand even more. And then that, so we're going and we're creating all these new revolutions of ourselves from doing the simple things. So I wanted to show you the power of this work by sharing a beautiful testimonial from a client that's worked with me for 2 years now. And this is the summarized version of her testimonial. It was 3 pages long. So I'm going to just summarize it some more. It's a beautiful testimonial. It brought me to tears to know how much has changed in her life. This is a person, and I'm going to read this verbatim here. I've worked with some expensive, well-known coaches in the industry and invested thousands of pounds in my personal development and business. Nothing worked or moved the needle until I started the human design experiment and one-on-one coaching with Kylie. And I love how she said here, with the way Kylie teaches it and applies it to your unique life, I understand myself better than I've ever known myself before. I feel really armed and supported to navigate life's challenges with love and compassion. And she is a very heart-centered being. This woman has the incarnation cross, which is the vessel of love. Everything she does comes from an incredible heart-centered place. I'm going to answer that question now, Anit. And she was somebody that was already doing this work, but she couldn't see it from the Gene Keys perspective. And that's why she had what we call manifestation frustration. Through clearing out her blocks, and she has done one-on-one coaching, she has done Money Code Mastery, she's currently in Rising Phoenix, but she's managed to get herself out of 30,000 pounds of debt, which is unbelievably huge for her. And she's gained, and I'm just going to read here, clarity, freedom, and confidence to live her dream life. And I know that this is the year that her business really skyrockets, because everything about this woman is so heart-centered, and it's because she's using all the simple things on a continuous basis to keep up leveling and doing this work. And I really wanted to share that because I wanted you to see that it's not just me that this has greatly impacted. Yes, it's greatly impacted my life, but it's not just me. It's my clients' lives too that it's greatly impacted by doing this consistent stuff, simple stuff on a continuous basis. So, going to go into questions right very soon after I've spoken about my new really cool offer that I cannot wait to see you all jumping up and down and having your Miley Cyrus moments of like feeling like you've just won your first Grammy ever. So if you have any questions in the meantime, please pop that into the chat box now so that I get to answer them. But I'm really excited because when I first started my manifestation journey, I wished and prayed that there was somebody that could just pinpoint me of like where my energy leaks were and what I would need to do. That wasn't a complicated, hectic solution to what I was experiencing to help me patch up my problem. And this is something that came to me through meditation and opening and working through my heart space. And I'm opening up the manifestation hotline for a week. So from the 26th of Feb, and I think it's until the 1st of March, it's from the Monday to Friday, I'm going to be opening up a channel in Telegram where you get to ask any manifestation questions you have on a day-to-day basis. And you basically have me plugged into your back pocket where you get to ask any questions, and I will be able to deeply see where you have an energy leak. You can share your gene key chart with me. You can share your human design chart with me. You can say, this is my current situation that I'm like experiencing. How can I shift this? And the beautiful thing about being in a community on Telegram, and a couple of people here have been in Rising Phoenix, which is very much that supportive space of having me plugged into your lives 3 days a week in Rising Phoenix. You get to learn from each other as well. There are ladies that have learned so much in my Rising Phoenix containers through other people asking questions, through other people sharing their problems. And it's such a beautiful space that it really shifts people greatly. So I'm really delighted to be offering the manifestation hotline. And it's a way to work with me where you will feel like you're working with me one-on-one without having to have a four-figure investment into your personal development. It's only $77, and you get to literally ask me any question for an entire week. And I think that that is so powerful because it's going to shift and change how you view what you're doing in your manifestation practice, to really helping you patch up those leaks and fully live your best life and step into that vision board life. So this is where you can get hold of me, and we will now do some Q&A, which I just want to stop my sharing for and be able to read everything. So if I've got limitation or dissatisfaction in my shadow, how would I shift that without, with a line to profile, stretch it out, like literally stretch it out. Stretch it out. So if you're feeling dissatisfied, how can you move through the flow of, okay, what is it that I'm specifically dissatisfied with? What is it that I'm specifically not? And especially because you are a manager, Anita, like you want to be following your satisfaction. So why are you specifically frustrated? How is that frustration bringing you dissatisfaction? And what could I do to stretch it out and to stretch into my satisfaction? That is such a great question. And there might be something that comes up there, like go for a run or go and do CrossFit, or, eat something different, like to change your frequency around that and to get the answers that you're looking for. How can you literally stretch it out, feel into it, and follow satisfaction? Does that help? Does that help? And then I feel like I'm in the shadow throughout my gene keys. So if you're feeling like you're in the shadow throughout your gene keys, start with the basic things, which is to go back to, how am I treating myself today? You don't want to try and change all of them all at the same time, because that's too much. And when I went on my first, I'm about to do another journey with Lloyd again on our gene keys, because we were speaking about it the other night. But when Lloyd and I first started looking into our gene keys, we literally spent every Saturday for an entire year going through our gene keys with each other. And that was a year-long process. We're going to be doing it again because there's deeper layers, there's always more growth, there's always more evolution. So don't try and change everything all at once. This is where I like to bring in the conversation of human design as well. So Vix, you're another money gen. And how can you start to follow your satisfaction? How can you bring more fun, play, pleasure back into your life? Because if you're feeling stifled, if you're feeling heavy, if you're feeling frustrated, that's how you're going to, and you're also 6'2", so how can you literally just change your posture? So if you think about that on a metaphorical level, how can you stand up straighter, and how can you own your power? Because I know that when a person is confident, their entire postural structure changes. And that's the beauty of this work. It's not complex solutions here. It's simple things. How can I stand up straighter? How can I gain my confidence back? By following my satisfaction, my joy, my pleasure, putting in play into my life, having passion. So let me know if that helps, if that makes sense, if that resonates, if that lands for you. I'm going to put in the link for the manifestation hotline, and of course you'll get an email about it as well. But please let me know if any of you have any other questions around this. If you, and I know that the gene keys can be very complex in their understanding, I try and make them as simple as possible, especially for my clients, because Richard Rudd, his work is magical genius, poetic. It goes beyond the place where words exist. It is so incredibly just amazing. It's honestly unreal. And sometimes it takes a while for that to land. And sometimes I know that you just want a simpler way of having, like, you know, how can I change my posture? Explain to you in a way that will be like very practical steps. And that's why, again, I'm very excited about the manifestation hotline, because I think it will give you an experience of how you can just do simple changes, shift your perspective, reframe things, and you have me basically on, I want to say 24/7 express hotline, but during my working hours, so almost 24/7 from Monday to Friday. Any other questions, ladies? Please feel free to also unmute yourselves if you have a slightly longer question. I know we've gone to an hour and a half again. I tried to make it an hour, but I also always want to make sure that everything I want to say gets said. Cheers, Colin. It was lovely to have you here, as always. As always. Okay. Doesn't look like there's any other questions. Either I explained it really well, or perhaps you're feeling overwhelmed, or perhaps you just really know what to do and you have a pathway to go. And you're like, this is simple. This gets to be simple. It gets to be simple. Okay. I just want to mention one more thing. The more you raise your predominant frequency, the more you're actually raising your thermostat for everything. The more you raise your thermostat, the higher your standards become in life. The higher your standards become in life, the more you can bring in. Okay. Okay, ladies. Thank you. Many light bulb moments. Amazing. I'm glad. I'm glad. If you did have a light bulb moment and you don't want to necessarily share here, please pop me a message on Instagram, or even if you're watching the replay, I would love to hear what your biggest takeaways were. I would love to know what has illuminated for you, where you know you could be doing things differently. And please share that feedback with me. I'd really appreciate it. Have a beautiful Valentine's Day, everyone. And I hope that your day is filled with so much love. So much love. Bye, everyone.